I'm working with your daily book, and I'm up to working on segments. I find it difficult at times to organize my day in utilizing it, but I understand the benefit of it, and I'd love for more input on how to utilize that wonderful gift that you're giving us on segments.
Well, we're happy to talk about the idea of what we have called segment intending in the framework of what we are now calling the path of least resistance, or the path of most allowance, because as you meld these two subjects together, really understanding the intent of both of them, it can give you a more powerful moment, more moments of your day. Now, here's the idea of segment intending. Segment intending says, I recognize right now where I stand, which is where all of my power is, that I have a set of intentions for here and now. And because I want to make the most of this moment, which is me meeting source, meeting my time-space reality, and since I'm wanting to make the most of this moment, I'm going to, not for the benefit of the universe who needs to know what I want from this moment, but more for the benefit of myself who wants to align with what I've already told the universe that I want, I'm going to make my statement of intent. In other words, it's sort of like I'm going to, on purpose, beat the drum of what I want rather than letting somebody else set the tone of the drum or beating some drum that I don't mean to beat. In other words, I'm going to stop now and I'm going to clarify what do I most want. Now, you realize that a new segment is any time your intentions change, if even slightly, from the last segment. So there are many segments in a day. When the telephone rings, you enter a new segment because somebody's about to enter your experience if you choose to answer the phone. And so that's a different set of intentions than if you are working in the garden by yourself. And taking a moment to remember who you are before you interact with that person who's calling on the phone can serve you extremely well, because one or the other of you is going to dominate the energy stream. In other words, one or the other of you is going to set the tone of this vibration. Now, if you have already aligned with source energy and you are tuned in, tapped in, turned on, and someone is ringing your phone who's not there, then you may want to, in the middle of your transition, you may want to stop and identify who you are and what you most want. A very lovely man called Jerry and Esther recently. You know him. His name is Wayne Dyer. And wanted to meet with them. Says, I've been a fan for many, many years, and I'm coming and I'm wanting to have dinner with you. And so he left a message for Esther to return. And when Esther returned the call, his cell phone machine message said, I'm happy to hear from you, and I am anticipating that you have something very happy to tell me. If that's the case, leave a message. If that's not the case, call Dr. Phil.
That's wonderful.
And Esther said to Jerry, isn't that perfect in advance segment intending? In other words, not only is he intending, he's pre-intending. He's letting you know what his intentions are. So what we're getting at here is, as you have already taken the time to tune in, tap in, turn on to the energy that is you, and you are hearing your telephone ring, if whatever is on the other end of that telephone is a vibrational match to who you are, you'll be inspired to go to it right now. If it is not, you may have the clarity to wait a little bit. In other words, you can tell by the way you feel which it is. Now, we're not encouraging you to jump to the answering of your telephone. That's not our message here. Our message is that the more you take the time to stop and set forth your intentions, the more pre-paving, meaning the more aligning of energies into your future you do. But more importantly, the more you alert yourself to a conscious awareness of what you're rendezvousing with. So, by segment intending, as we talk about identifying what you are wanting, we talked earlier about you taking that ride and you've got someone riding with you that thinks you should go a different way. And if you've not taken any time to identify what this segment of the day means to you and what you are wanting from it, then you could maybe, just through that brief interaction, get swept into some resistance or resentment or even an argument. But if you have identified your segments, now this is where the path of least resistance sort of dovetails with this. If you've taken the time to identify not only this segment of your day, meaning we're going to have a lovely drive together, we're going to be efficient, and maybe we'll see some lovely things along the way. But the most important thing to me is that we get there on time and that we are safe in our travel and that we are enjoying one another. Oh yes, and there is more as I reach deeper into the intention. It is my intent to live happily ever after, and it is my intent to enhance this relationship, and it is my intent that we get along famously together, and it is my intent to love and honor you. It is my intent to be loved and honored. It is my intent to understand that well-being is. In other words, the broader you get and the less specific you get, the easier it is for you to hook back in to the vibration of well-being. And so this segment intending means reaching for the thoughts that feel best as specifically or generally as you have to be. But the more often you do it, the more you practice, and here's the key, the more you practice the beating of a drum or the activating of a vibration that serves you well, so that each new segment that you walk into has sort of been pre-paved by the last and by the last and by the last and by the last. Sometimes people think that segment intending means stand here realizing all that could go wrong, identify what I would prefer to go right, make a very clear and conscious statement of what I want so that I can protect myself from what goes wrong. And we say, oh, that's sort of activating everything, and then you've got this big mess that you're constantly trying to clean up as you go. So segment intending gets easier and easier as you identify again and again and again and again and again who you are. If we were standing in your physical shoes and we were going through a day of segment intending, it would start out by saying, I know that life is good for me, and I know that things are supposed to continue to be good, and I'm anticipating good things to show up in lots of different ways, and I'm happily anticipating the different phases of this day where I get to interact with lots of different people and lots of different ideas, and I know that I will have lots of surprises and lots of delights and lots of opportunities and lots of conclusions and lots of understandings. This is just going to be a wonderful day. I'm eager for it to unfold in whatever way it can. That would be a sort of general statement of intent for the day. And then as you are moving more specifically into different aspects of the day, of course, if you are gardening by yourself, your intentions would be different than if you are engaged in a telephone conversation. So while you're gardening, you might say, I'm wanting to really feel the delicious spirit of these flowers, and I'm really wanting to feel the rhythm of the earth, and I'm wanting this time in the garden to open myself to the appreciation that I naturally feel for all of this beauty and all of this nature that is before me. And I'm wanting to have a very good time while I'm here. If you are getting into a telephone conversation with someone, you might say, I am so wanting to discover the deliciousness of this person, and I'm wanting our interaction to be mutually uplifting to each other, and I'm wanting to continue to remember how much I love life and this person, and I'm wanting to remember how much this person loves life and loves me, and I'm wanting this conversation to be uplifting to both of us. And since I only have 5 minutes, I'm wanting it to come together succinctly and quickly, and I'm wanting us to both feel satisfied when it has come. I'm wanting it to reach a natural conclusion where both of us feel uplifted and better for having had it. You see, you make a few intentions like that, and can you imagine the way you begin to align your days? Day after day after day, magnificent things come to you. And people that don't understand the power of directing thought and the power of guiding thought by paying attention to the way you feel will stand back and look at you in amazement like you live some sort of magical life. And what you would explain to anyone who is asking, who wants to know, is, I am segment by segment realigning with who I am so that magic happens every time. Most people don't take the time to intend until they're in trouble. And then it's harder to see any evidence of it. If you take the time to segment intend from your time of feeling best, then it gets better and 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 better. Yes.
Beautiful.
Yes, indeed.
Is there for me, as I sit before you, a way that I can help to relax my mind? I feel very busy in my mind, and I think...
Well, we don't want you so much to relax your mind as we want you to focus more on one thing at a time. That's what you're really reaching for. As you focus upon something, let us back up in another place. You could simultaneously focus, not simultaneously, but in a minute, you could focus on several things and not necessarily feel frenzy, because it is not entertaining many things at the same time that is unsettling to you. It is entertaining things of contrasting vibration that is unsettling to you. So as you focus more about what you do want, and you pay more attention to the way you are feeling, what begins to happen is you establish more of a basis that will affect your future experiences so that you will be more in alignment with who you really are more of the time. We would not criticize ourselves by saying, I feel scattered. Instead, we would soothe that by saying, I'm interested in so many things, I'm going to focus on the things that I love most. Most of you, rather than focusing upon the things you love most, you focus upon the things you think you need to do the most. And as you focus often upon the things you need to do the most, often they are the things that are most out of sync. So you keep holding yourself in this out of sync place, where if you would focus upon the things that feel the best, so that you align with who you really are, in that alignment, everything soothes out. It's sort of, here's an example of it. Let's say that you are Esther, you are in her motor coach, and you have many things to do today, and several of them you've promised to other people that they will be in the FedEx box that night. You wake up, you don't know where the FedEx box is going to be, you're not really sure how far you're going to drive, you only know how many things you need to do. So you wake up and you sort of hit the floor running, and you've got this to-do list that you're trying to check off. So as you move through that day, you've just kind of gone from fragmented disconnection to fragmented disconnection. And even though you're very sure-footed and very good at what you do, and you can make your way down the list, and you can get them all done and get them in the FedEx box, and then you're going, phew, as you slump into your bed that night, that is not, if we were living in your physical shoes, the way we would live the day. The way we would live the day is we would awaken with an awareness of all of the commitments that we've made, and then we would say, the most important commitment that I have made in this lifetime is to be an extension of the source energy that I am. Now, what is the most likely thing that's going to get me in alignment with who I am? If it's music, we would play it. If it's a walk, we would take a walk. If it's making love, we would make love. If it's listening to a recording, we would, in other words, you know what things are most likely to align you. And we would be very sure that the first thing on our list, not the last thing on our list, the first thing on our list would be a process to align us with who we really are. Because if you take 5 or 10 minutes to meditate or 5 or 10 minutes to get into the rhythm of well-being, now suddenly you have all of the resources of the universe at your fingertips, and you begin to activate the magic of your day. Take the time to activate the magic of your day first, and then do anything else that you feel inspired to do.
Thank you.
Yes, indeed. Further back. You are the one.